Your home is not just a building. I need you to understand that before we begin. Your home is not a structure made of wood and brick and glass. Your home is the last territory on this earth that belongs to you completely. It is the one place where your rules apply, where your peace lives, where you can close the door and the world and everything in it stops at the threshold. After 60, your home becomes even more sacred than it was before, because the world outside has gotten louder and faster and less patient with you. The world outside makes you feel small, but inside your home, you are the right size. Inside your home, you are full. And the moment you let the wrong person through that door, the fullness begins to drain. Not all at once, slowly. The way a tire with a small nail in it doesn't go flat immediately. It loses air over days, over weeks, until one morning you walk outside and the tire is on the ground and you can't remember when it started. That is what the wrong person does to your home. They are the nail, and your peace is the air. And by the time you notice the damage, the home that used to restore you has become the place that exhausts you. Today I am going to tell you about 5 people who should never be allowed past your front door. Not because they are evil, not because they are criminals, because they carry something inside them that is incompatible with the peace your home was built to protect. And once they are inside, getting them out is 10 times harder than keeping them out would have been. My grandmother had a teaching about the home that shaped everything I understand about this subject. She said, your home is your fire. It is the place where you warm yourself after the cold of the world. And you must guard your fire the way the old ones guarded theirs. Not every person who is cold deserves a seat at your fire. Some people sit at your fire and warm themselves and then leave peacefully. Those people are welcome. But some people sit at your fire and start moving the logs. They rearrange the fire. They make it burn the way they want it to burn. And before you know it, the fire that used to warm you is burning in a shape that serves someone else. That is what happens when you let the wrong person into your home. They don't just visit. They rearrange. They move your logs, and your fire stops being yours. The first person you should never let into your home after 60 is the person who moved out and keeps coming back. You know this person. They left. They built their own life. They established themselves somewhere else. And then something went wrong. A divorce, a job loss, a financial problem, and they came back. And you, because you love them, because the bedroom was empty anyway, because a parent's instinct to shelter their child never dies no matter how old the child gets, you said yes. Come home. Stay as long as you need. And the staying started, and the staying never stopped. They were supposed to be there for a few weeks. That was months ago, maybe years ago. And now they are not a guest. They are a resident who doesn't pay rent, who doesn't follow your schedule, who leaves dishes in the sink and noise in the living room and tension in the air. A resident whose presence has slowly, quietly, completely changed the atmosphere of your home. The temperature is different. The rhythm is different. The peace is different. Because your home was designed for 1 or 2. It was calibrated to your pace, your silence, your habits. And the person who came back brought their own pace and their own noise and their own habits and dropped them on top of yours like a wet blanket on a fire. I knew a woman named Pauline whose son moved back in at 43 after his second divorce. And Pauline, being Pauline, opened the door without hesitation. Her boy was hurting. Her boy needed his mother. And the mother in her overruled the woman in her who had just spent 3 years building the quietest, most peaceful life she had ever known. 3 years of waking when she wanted, eating what she wanted, watching what she wanted. 3 years of a home that breathed at her rhythm. And within 1 month of her son's return, all of it was gone. The television was on channels she didn't watch. The kitchen was used at hours she didn't eat. The bathroom schedule was disrupted. The phone rang with his drama. His ex-wife called the house screaming. His friends came over without asking. And Pauline, in her own home, became a guest. She started tiptoeing around her own house, asking permission to use her own kitchen, apologizing for being in the way in her own living room. The woman who had finally found peace had surrendered it to a 43-year-old man who should have been building his own peace in his own home. I want to be clear about something. I am not saying you should never help your children. A parent helps, that is what parents do. But helping and hosting are different things. You can help your son find an apartment. You can help him with a deposit. You can help him build a plan. You can love him fully and support him completely without handing him the key to your front door and the remote to your television and the rhythm of your days. Helping keeps your home intact. Hosting surrenders it. And the longer the hosting continues, the harder it becomes to reclaim what was surrendered, because the guest becomes a fixture. And asking a fixture to leave feels like removing a wall. It feels structural. It feels dangerous. It feels like the house might collapse without them. But it won't. The house stood before they came, and it will stand after they leave. Stronger, in fact, because it will be yours again. And I want to tell you the sentence that changed Pauline's life. After 18 months of living as a guest in her own home, Pauline's neighbor, an old woman with more courage than diplomacy, looked at her and said, "Pauline, whose house is this?" And Pauline said, "Mine." And the neighbor said, "Then why are you whispering?" And Pauline started crying, because the neighbor had said in 10 words what Pauline had been unable to say in 18 months. It was her house, and she was whispering in it. She was hiding in it. She was apologizing for existing in the one place on earth where her existence required no apology. And that week, Pauline told her son it was time. Not cruelly, not with anger, with love and with firmness, and with the quiet understanding that loving her son and losing her peace could not continue to be the same thing. Before I share the next teaching, I need to tell you something. I am not going to be here forever, and most of what I know was never written anywhere. So I sat down and I wrote it, all of it. 20 teachings, 4 parts, in the order they were meant to be received. The ones about protecting your sacred space, the ones about guarding the peace you built, the ones I have never said on camera. It is called The Native Way, and it costs less than one dinner you will not remember. Scan the code on your screen or look in the comments, but do not leave yet, because the next 4 people are the ones that are already inside some of your homes right now, and you haven't recognized the damage yet. The second person you should never let into your home after 60 is the one who comes to check on you but is actually checking up on you. This person disguises surveillance as concern. They come over and their eyes scan. They look at the dishes in the sink. They look at the pills on the counter. They look at the mail on the table. They open your refrigerator to see if you are eating right. They check the expiration dates on your milk. They glance at your checkbook if it's out. They notice the dust on the shelf and the stain on the carpet and the light bulb that needs changing. And then they report, not to you, to the rest of the family. Mom's house is a mess. Dad's not eating well. I don't think she's taking her medication. I found expired food in the fridge. The house smells. And suddenly, based on one visit from one inspector, there is a family meeting about your future, about whether you can live alone, about whether it's time for a conversation about assisted living, about whether someone needs to take over your finances. All of it triggered by a person who walked through your front door pretending to bring love and actually bringing a clipboard. I am not saying your family should never be concerned. Concern is natural. Concern is love. But there is a difference between a person who comes because they want to see you and a person who comes to evaluate you. The person who comes to see you sits down, makes coffee, asks about your week, laughs, stays for the company. The person who comes to evaluate you stays just long enough to gather evidence and leaves with a report. You can feel the difference. Your body can feel it. The visit that is a visit leaves you warm. The visit that is an inspection leaves you anxious. If you feel anxious after someone leaves your home, if you find yourself cleaning before they arrive, not because you want a clean house, but because you are afraid of what they will think if it's not perfect, that person is an inspector. And your home is not a property to be inspected. It is your territory. And your territory is not open for review. The third person you should never let into your home after 60 is the person who brings chaos with them every time they walk through the door. You know this person too. They never arrive with peace. They arrive with a crisis, a new drama, a new argument they need you to mediate, a new problem they need you to solve, a new emergency that fills your living room with the kind of emotional noise that takes hours to clear after they leave. Every visit is a storm, and your home, the place that is supposed to shelter you from storms, becomes the place where the storms are delivered directly to your door. I knew a man named Douglas whose daughter brought the storm every single time. She would call from the driveway already crying. She would walk through the door mid-sentence about something terrible that had happened. And Douglas, who had been sitting in his chair reading his book in complete peace 5 minutes earlier, would spend the next 3 hours holding the storm, carrying it, absorbing it, trying to fix it. And his daughter would leave, lighter, calmer, drained of the things she had been carrying. And Douglas would sit in his chair afterward, shaking. Not from cold, from the residue of her chaos. The storm was gone, but the damage was done. The peace that had taken him all day to build was destroyed in one visit. And it would take him 2 or 3 days to rebuild it, just in time for the next call from the driveway. Douglas was not a father during those visits. He was a dumping ground. And his home was not a home. It was a landfill for his daughter's emotional waste. And the waste was toxic, and it was poisoning him, slowly, visit by visit, storm by storm. I need to say something about this one because I know some of you are already feeling guilty. You are thinking, but that's my daughter, but that's my sister. I can't close my door to family. And I hear you. But I need to ask you a question. Would you swallow poison because a family member handed it to you? Would you drink something that made you sick just because the person offering it shares your blood? No, you wouldn't. And emotional chaos is poison. It enters your body through your ears and your eyes and your empathy, and it settles in your chest and your stomach and your nervous system, and it makes you sick. Not metaphorically, actually sick. Your blood pressure rises after those visits. Your sleep suffers for days after those visits. Your hands tremble after those visits. Your doctor asks why your numbers are up and you say, I don't know. But you do know. You just don't want to say it out loud. The answer is sitting on your couch right now telling you about her ex-husband for the 3rd time this week. The answer walked through your front door without knocking and brought a hurricane into a room that was perfectly still 5 minutes ago. You do not have to close your door permanently, but you can meet the storm somewhere else. A coffee shop, a park, a restaurant, any place that is not your home. Because your home is the place you return to when the storm is over. And if the storm is already inside your home, there is nowhere left to return to. Keep the storms outside. Love the person, help the person, but do not let them deliver their weather to your living room. Your living room is not a weather station. It is a shelter. And a shelter that lets the storms in is just a building with no purpose. The fourth person you should never let into your home after 60 is the person who makes themselves too comfortable. Not comfortable, too comfortable. There is a difference. A guest is comfortable. A guest sits where they are offered, uses what they are given, respects the boundaries without being told where they are. A person who is too comfortable acts like the home is theirs. They open your cabinets without asking. They change the channel without asking. They help themselves to food without being offered. They rearrange your pillows. They comment on your furniture. They suggest improvements. They say things like, "You know what this room needs?" They use your bathroom and leave it different than they found it. They stay longer than they are welcome and don't read the signals that the visit is over. And gradually, visit after visit, they expand. They take up more space. They claim more territory. Until your home, the last place on earth that is entirely yours, starts to feel like a shared space. And you never agreed to share it. It was taken, inch by inch, pillow by pillow, channel by channel. My grandmother had a strict rule about this. She said, "A person who moves your things without asking is telling you that your things are theirs. And a person who treats your things as theirs will eventually treat your home as theirs. And a person who treats your home as theirs will eventually treat your life as theirs." It starts with a pillow. It ends with a power of attorney. She was not exaggerating. I have watched it happen. The person who starts by rearranging your living room ends by rearranging your life. Because the root behavior is the same. They believe they know better than you. And the home is just the first territory they conquer before moving on to your finances, your medical decisions, and your independence. The fifth person you should never let into your home after 60 is the person who makes you feel uncomfortable in your own space. This is the subtlest one and the most dangerous because there is nothing specific you can point to. They don't rearrange, they don't inspect, they don't bring chaos, they don't overstay. They just make you feel wrong in your own home. Something about their presence changes the air. You sit differently. You speak differently. You move differently. You become the edited version of yourself in the one place where you should never have to edit. You hide the wine glass. You turn down the music. You close the book you were reading because you don't want them to see what it is. You change out of the comfortable clothes and put on something presentable. In your own home. For a visitor. You are performing in the one place where the performance is supposed to stop. And that performance, however small, is a violation of the home's sacred purpose. Your home is the place where you are allowed to be exactly who you are without apology. And any person whose presence takes that away, however subtly, however politely, is a person who should be met at a restaurant, not at your front door. I want to tell you who this person usually is because it might surprise you. It is often someone you love, someone you respect, sometimes your own adult child, the daughter whose standards make you feel like your home isn't clean enough, the son whose silence makes you feel like your cooking isn't good enough, the friend who dresses so well that you feel ashamed of your furniture when they sit on it, the neighbor who keeps a perfect house and whose presence in your imperfect house makes you see every stain and every scratch and every sign of age through their eyes. These people are not trying to make you uncomfortable. Most of them have no idea they are doing it, but the result is the same. When they are in your home, you are not at home. You are on stage, performing a version of yourself and your life that is designed to survive their judgment. And a home that becomes a stage is no longer a home. It is a theater, and you are too old and too tired to keep performing. My grandmother had the most peaceful home I have ever been in. Not because it was fancy, it was the opposite of fancy. It was small and old and the furniture didn't match, and the floors creaked, and there were cracks in the wall that had been there for 30 years. But when you walked in, you felt something that no mansion can manufacture. You felt rest. You felt like the house itself was exhaling. And the reason was simple. My grandmother had never once apologized for her home. She never rearranged it for visitors. She never cleaned in a panic before someone arrived. She never hid anything. She never changed anything. What you saw when you walked in was exactly what existed when nobody was watching. And that honesty, that complete refusal to perform, was what made the house peaceful. Because the peace in a home is not measured by how it looks. It is measured by how honestly the person inside it is living. A home where you hide the wine glass and close the book and change your clothes before someone arrives is not a peaceful home. It is a museum. And museums are designed for visitors. Homes are designed for the people who live in them. Live in yours, honestly, without adjustment. And anyone who makes that impossible should be loved from a distance, preferably the distance between your living room and the nearest restaurant. 5 people. The one who moved out and keeps coming back. The inspector disguised as a concerned visitor. The chaos bringer who delivers storms to your door. The one who makes themselves too comfortable in your space. And the one who makes you feel uncomfortable in your own home. 5 people who are not bad people, not enemies, not villains. They are simply incompatible with the peace your home was built to protect. And your job, your only job at this stage of your life, is to protect that peace the way my grandmother protected her fire. Not by fighting, by choosing. Choosing who gets a seat, choosing who gets through the door, choosing every single day that your home will remain yours, your pace, your silence, your rhythm, your fire. And anyone who wants to sit at it must accept it as it is, not move the logs, not rearrange the flames, not turn your fire into theirs. If they can sit and warm themselves without changing a thing, they are welcome. If they cannot, the door is right where they found it, and it closes from the inside, and the only hand on the handle is yours. If what you heard today stayed with you, the book is there. The Native Way, 20 teachings, 100 pages, written the way I would speak to you if we were sitting together. Scan the QR code on the screen with your phone or find the link in the comments. Read 1 chapter. Sit with it. Now I want to hear from you. Tell me in the comments, which one of these 5 people have you already let in? I read every comment. And if this is the kind of conversation you have been looking for, subscribe to this channel. We are not collecting viewers here. We are collecting people who remember. Come back next week. I am not done teaching yet.